So if you have a graphing calculator, obviously that makes your life easier. Go for it. But if you're on some sort of exam or test and no calculator is allowed, you can still get a rough idea of what a graph looks like by plugging in points into an XY coordinate, into an XY table. Pick any number you want, preferably something easy. Plug it in for X or for Y, and then solve for the other variable. I'm choosing x equals 0 because that makes things easy. 0 to the third power is 0, negative 3 times 0 is 0, and 0 minus 1 is negative 1. This pair is a dot on my graph. And so if we get a whole bunch more dots, maybe we can see what the graph is supposed to look like. So I'll plug in 1 for x and negative 1 for x. When I plugged them in, I got those two numbers. So 1 comma negative 4, it's right about there. And then we've got negative 1 comma 2 right there. Let's get a few more points because right now it looks like a straight line. And yeah, let's get a few more. Those ones won't fit on my graph. So let's back up and try something maybe a little smaller. That's what I got when I got those two x numbers. So when I plugged in 0.5 and negative 0.5. So putting those dots on our graph, something like this. And so we've got starting to get a rough idea of what the graph looks like. Something like that. Okay, so, but again, you might have been able to bypass all this if you had a graphing calculator available. And so your other task here, which is the task students seem to have a harder time with, is to find the domain and the range. So when you think about domain, think about x. And when you think about the range, think about y. Because the domain should represent all the numbers that you could legally plug in for x without breaking math rules. The big ones you want to look out for are a divide by zero problem and for taking the square root of a negative. You can plug in anything you want and you won't divide by zero in this equation. You can plug in anything you want and you won't be taking the square root of a negative number. So our domain is all real numbers. When you think about range, you're thinking about all the possible values that can come out for y. And that really helps to look at a graph. We've got an arrow pointing up because the graph never stops going up. We've got an arrow pointing down because the graph never stops going down. So there's no place where we have an absent point for y. Like we've got a y equals 1, a y2, a y3, a y4, a y5. We've got a y0. That's this point right here. We've got a y negative 1. That's this point right here. Y negative 2, etc., etc. So same thing for the range. The range is all real numbers too. And that's it.